Good, good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Protocols have already been established in this conference, so permit me to align with them. My name is Dr. Dokas Kundam from University of Mka, Benue State. And then two of us worked on this paper, a very senior colleague, Professor Zach Egundu. He's the Vice Chancellor of the university. So for the Vice Chancellor to be involved on this paper tells you the place the university have positioned Cassava. So greetings from Professor Zachary Sangengudu, the Vice Chancellor of University of Mka. Thank you very much. This paper is not on display, so I'll just try to read from my phone now. So much has been said about Cassava, so I will not bore you with the introductions. I will just go straight to the essence of this paper. Nigeria has been said to be the largest producer of cassava. Benue State is a leading state in Nigeria on the production of cassava. However, cassava in Benue State has not been industrialized. In Benue State, the use of cassava is mostly at household levels. So as a university, we try to look at it. The university is supposed to solve the problem of cassava. How come the food basket of this nation leading in cassava processing but has no industry on cassava processing? So I'd like at this point to thank the organizers of this conference, because this conference has given the different challenges, mechanization, somebody has addressed it. And then where we are coming in is on insufficient industrial scale processing of cassava. Benue State, until just 2 years back, has the first industry on cassava by a Chinese company processing ethanol. And so that tells you state is leader in production of cassava. There's no industry in the whole state on cassava. So that's why, as a university, we've decided to add value on cassava by production of cassava biscuits. We have, the university has involved in mass production, planting of TME 419 species of cassava, and we have used this cassava to add value by production of high quality cookies. Now, because of time, I'm going straight to the results that we have had on these cookies. Now, yesterday it was mentioned that one of the problems with cassava is low protein content. And we have tried to address this problem. We are not only producing this cassava, but we also have decided to add value to take care of the low protein content of cassava cookies. The results we have from this research work, I'm going to the tables now straight because of time. From the results we have on this work, I have a picture of the biscuits here. You can't see it. But I would have loved you to see it. If you look at this biscuit, I'm holding it up. You count 1, 2, 3. The third biscuit there is from 100 wheat cassava flour. Now, looking at this picture, you will see that the biscuit from cookies is the smallest in size. It has a major implication in this work. It's smallest in size because one of the advantage wheat flour has over our local flour is the gluten, the protein gluten in cookies. Now, this gluten, because of this elasticity, it was able to shrink the cookies from the wheat flour. Now, that shrinking, down the discussion of the result, you will see that has a major effect on the cookies biscuits. When you place the cookies out and evaluators come in, the first thing they go for the biscuits from the cassava composite flour because they were bigger. So no crop has all. Even the wheat flour that we're celebrating has shown its own disadvantage. So the cassava biscuits had an advantage over the the cookies from wheat flour, which was the control. Now, the next result I have here is the results from the functional properties of the flour. I don't know if you can see it. Now, from this result, you will see that generally, the functional properties of the flours from our natural crops had higher values than the values from the wheat flour. One of the most interesting parameter here is the oil absorption. The oil absorption of cassava flour 100% was 2%. That's 2% higher than the wheat flour. Now, in food processing, when you have a flour that has high oil absorption, it tells you that it's going to have high flavor. So the cassava, the biscuits from the 100% cassava had higher flavors in all the biscuits that were produced. I'm going to the next table. The next table is the proximate composition. Now, in the proximate composition, our major concern was to improve the protein of the biscuits from cassava. Now, you look at it, the flour from 100% cassava had 0.84 protein content, which is very, very low. That indicates that the nutritional quality of cassava is very poor, which is a major problem. And it's a problem we try to tackle in this research. Now you look at the protein content of biscuits from the wheat flour. The protein content is 7.91, while the protein content of the cassava is 0.84. You see, now, after producing biscuits from the cassava flour, the protein content went up to 2.58, meaning that the eggs that were included helped to improve the protein content of the cassava biscuits. But then you go to the third sample, which had an inclusion of 10% soybean. We're trying to improve the protein quality of this biscuit. It went up to 5. Now we added 20%. The protein content of the cassava biscuit went up to 8.37. 8.37 is higher than the protein content of biscuit from wheat, which is 7.8. Now I'd like us to pay attention to this. Okay, I'm asked to round up. So let me quickly go to the sensory properties. I'm leaving the physical properties, I'm going to the sensory properties. Now from the sensory properties, 50 students from the university were asked to test these biscuits. And when they test these biscuits, the 20% cassava biscuit competed favorably with the control, which was from the wheat flour cassava. On the whole, you could see that 20%, 30% inclusion of soybean in cassava biscuits improved the protein quality, the ash content, the fiber content of all the biscuits that were produced from the cassava. Now, I have a picture of the different samples over here of the biscuits. Now, this biscuit tells us that we are here to provide a solution. When you talk about value addition on cassava, biscuits are hardly mentioned. But from yesterday's presentation from Director Firo, she gave us statistics of how much Nigeria is spending on importing wheat into the country. And then you also ask yourself, let's pause and look at it. Is it only wheat that Nigeria is importing? Nigeria is also importing biscuits into the country. So supposing we use our cassava and produce biscuits in the country, produce high quality cassava, you can imagine how much of our cassava will be mopped up into production of biscuits into our country. And that's why, as a university, we're saying that there are practical solutions to the issue of value addition to cassava. And one of them is this biscuit that has been produced from cassava. I'm trying to round up. Sorry, please. I'm trying to round up. Now, because I've presented this paper in a hurry, I'll just round up this way. Looking at the potentials of cassava and also the value addition products that can be produced from cassava, I'm calling the attention of the policy makers of our nation. I've had an experience in producing biscuits from local crops for almost 30 years. And out of all these local crops, cassava has turned out to be the best among the local crops of biscuits production. So I'm rounding up by saying, drawing on my experience in food science and technology, I affirm that high quality biscuits can be produced using 100% cassava flour. While the current policy mandating 20% cassava flour in bread is highly commendable, I strongly advocate for a broader policy that encourages the complete substitution of wheat with cassava flour in biscuits production. Such a policy will significantly increase the utilization of our abundant cassava harvests and increase industrial presence of our cassava. I further urge POSMIN to advance this recommendation following the conclusion of this cassava conference, ensuring that it is deeply reflected in this conference communique and actively pursued until it is fully achieved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nsu, please, can you sit down this way? That's a hallmark of academics. You do a research for 30 years and you're given 15 minutes to present it. That means that you can solve every problem. So without much ado, may I invite the second speaker of the day? She would be speaking to us on comparative analysis of the impact of adoption of improved cassava technology on the livelihood of women farmers in Akwa Ibom and Anambra State, Nigeria. To make this presentation is Pearl Amadi of the National Root Crops Research Institute, Umudike, Nigeria. Please make your way to this place. A round of applause as she comes. Please, you have 10 minutes, and we're going to turn off the microphone at 10 minutes. Welcome.
Thank you. All protocol duly observed. I am Dr. Pearl Amadi from National Crop Research Institute, Umudike, and I'm presenting a survey work conducted recently in Anambra and Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. The topic is comparative analysis of the impact of adoption of improved cassava technologies on the livelihood of women farmers in Anambra and Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria. This is a pure survey work. All right, introduction. In Nigeria, we know that women dominate in agricultural production, processing, and marketing. Cassava is a high potential crop for both food security and income generation, and that is why we are here. So, National Crop Research Institute, Umudike, have developed so many cassava technologies, varieties, and have tried it, and these varieties have been disseminated to so many locations. Then the adoption work study has been conducted. Now we looked into the impact of this adoption among the women cassava. Now, let's look at the objectives. The number one objective is to determine the level of adoption of this improved cassava before and after adoption. Then to determine the extent to which the technologies positively impacted on their livelihood, and to also look at the constraints. The methodology, the work was conducted in Anambra and Akwa Ibom State. A multi-sampling technique was used in selecting 100 women. Then number 1 stage, 1 agricultural zone, we are purposely selected from each state because of what? These technologies have been disseminated and distributed in these areas. At the end of the day, only 100 women were used for the study. And data was collected through questionnaire and focus group discussion and was analyzed using Z-test, mean count, frequency, and percentage. Okay, number 1 results. That's the level of adoption. Let's look at the level of adoption of some of these technologies. You can see the number 1, which is TME 419. In Akwa Ibom State, you can see that the level of adoption is 2.86. Then we have Hope, which is another technology, another variety, 2.64. Farmer's Pride, Game Changer, Yellow Roots, which is pro-vitamin cassava, then cassava flour, and value addition products. We have our cake, our bread, our chin-chin, and so many of them. So, in summary, the level of adoption of all these technologies in Akwa Ibom State is high. And the grand mean was 2.65, which is above the decision mean count of 2.0. Then likewise in Anambra State, the grand mean was 2.5, which is also above the decision mean count of 2.0. What are we talking about here? Because of the technological attributes of these technologies, these women were able to adopt them. It has high early maturity, high yield, marketable, and the nutritional value, especially for the yellow cassava. These are the attributes that attracted them to adopt and be utilizing the technologies. The Z-test result shows that in Anambra State, before the adoption of these technologies, they were making about 86,000 naira in the local varieties. But after adopting the technologies, the improved variety from National Crop Research Institute Mudike, they were able to be making 214,600. And you can see the mean difference, which is 128,600 at 1% difference, significant. Though when you come to Akwa Ibom, when they were using the local varieties, they were making 119,840. But after the adoption and utilization, they were able to be making 275,500 with a mean difference of 155,660 at 1% significant level. What is the implication? The implication is that income is an indicator for these women farmers in improving their livelihood. And you see that now they were able to adopt these technologies because it's making it in their livelihood. Now, what are these impacts? Impact of adoption on the livelihood of these women. Now, after adopting it, they were able to have increased availability of food. Yes. And also, they are now able to pay their children's school fees. Before, during the focus group discussion, they said that they find it difficult to pay children's school fees. But because of this adoption, and they are now able to, they now pay their children's school fees, have enough food on their table, and even also increase farm land. They are able to make, have some lands on lease. They were able to have enough money to have land to expand the cultivation of this cassava because of they have entered into a level of commercialization of all these technologies. Now, the constraints. You can see lack of credit facilities, high cost of labor, insecurity, and inadequate information on new technologies are the constraints to adoption in Anambra State. Then when you come to Akwa Ibom, you high cost of labor, high cost of planting materials, inadequate information, the inadequate knowledge on value addition, which means they need training so that there will be this value addition I think with it, they'll be okay. Now, conclusion. The study recorded high level of adoption of cassava technologies among the women farmers, both in Anambra State and the Akwa Ibom State, with more income from cassava technologies after adoption. That is the major thing. Then, high adoption improves the livelihood of the adopters, especially in increased availability of food, income generation, paying of their children's school fees, among others. High cost of labor and lack of credit facilities were the major serious constraints to adoption. I acknowledge my institute, and now let's look at the recommendations. Actually, these women need to be encouraged. How do we encourage them? To be kind of incentives, giving soft loan to them to expand and extend the cultivation of this cassava, since they are making gain from it, since they are making profit from it. Then my institute should improve in creating more awareness on the new technologies, and the dissemination of these new improved cassava technologies should be looked into. Then conducting training for these women, these rural women, and those of them at the peri-urban areas is very, very necessary. And government has to do something about it by funding research institutes, and this will help to boost adoption, enhance the quality and productivity of cassava technologies, as well as enhance the income and livelihood of these rural women. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please take a seat around here. And let me thank you also, my accurate timekeeper. In those days that we used to have debates, the timekeeper, you have to massage his or her ego so that he can spare you 1 more minute. So thank you, accurate timekeeper. So, as is traditional to this conference, we're going to have a recap of yesterday's activities. And I'm expecting that that will be done in less than 10 minutes, since paper presentations have been limited to 10 minutes. On that note, I'll be inviting Engineer Etu Obasi to make his way to this place to provide us a recap of yesterday. While he's coming, you may need to take note that today is double fold event. Apart from these early morning presentations, we're going to have a gala later in the day. So we need to quickly tidy up so that we can go and change to Africa, come back to do the needful after a hard week's exercise. And the unveiling of the magazine. Thank you, Engineer Etu Obasi. Please don't take more than 8 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trees and participants, good morning this morning. For me, from his announcement, I think I'm already in my African regalia. So the party can start now. So this is just going to be a very quick recap on what transpired yesterday. Yesterday was the second day of this event. And the day activity tried somehow to consolidate on what we started the first day with keynote speeches, panel discussions, technical demonstration on mechanization and assessment, and innovation updates delivered at the first day's conference. And the purpose was to equip policymakers and development partners and all the people present, researchers and this thing, to pay attention to actionable intelligence or activities that are coming out from this program on cassava in terms of productivity, industrialization, even cultivation, market, competitiveness, and across Africa, and the lot is lost too. Africa on its own produces 65% of global cassava, holding about 60% of the world arable land, and feed nearly 1 billion people with cassava products. That tells you how vital cassava is. But yet we are told that mechanization remains low, export level are also negligible, and value addition is underdeveloped because maybe lack of best practices and technology. The conference tried to address the gaps highlighted both in technology and proposed computer-aided engineering solutions for value addition and optimization of what computer-aided engineering. It helps you adapt to equipment to local people who are going to use them, and then reduces energy consumption, and then the performance become higher and you save more money, and improved decisions are easy to make. When we look at the papers yesterday, you can see that there were 5 sessions actually from session C to H yesterday, which was interlaced with all this panel discussion and on national and country experiences from Kenya, Benin, Republic of Benin, and then South Sudan, Ghana also, etc. Yes, but if you look at section C that addressed technology and smart system integration and sustainability, papers were presented on the role of computer-aided engineering, realizing the efficiency in agriculture and for improved cassava value chain in the sub-Saharan region. This was properly demonstrated with some highlight. Attempts at cassava farm mechanization was also shown to us, and harvest on global cassava market dynamics. This revealed that cassava has very great potential. It's an article of trade, not just for AFTA, but also for EU and other Asian and other continents. And through these many opportunities, Nigeria can really grow wealth and riches from this green gold if we properly harness it, process it, and add value that these people will need. And then in session E on cassava cultivation and impacts on stakeholders, inclusion, it was simply revealed that cassava cultivation using different varieties that are able to use this thing in the best practice method and bring out the competitive advantage that cassava has. Here also, the issue of gender and gender inclusion was highlighted, since women were much in this cassava production, and then youths that are coming up new. And this will not happen if they don't receive the normal input and the funds that are necessary. And then in session F on cassava, cassava industry financing and business development, this actually brought to fore that if cassava must be done as a business, then Babatunde, who was speaking yesterday, Babatunde Ajay of UBA, he told us the models that can be adopted. We also saw experiences from other nations, like I've said. In section G on policy and partnership for growth and cassava, we were actually told to craft out policies that can help nations to partner together and bring out all the good products of cassava, from high quality cassava for starch, sweetener, ethanol production, and animal feed, biodegradable product. But it's not like there were no problems. The discussion yesterday also highlighted some of the challenges that are facing cassava product, like supply chain losses, poor linkages, lack of farmers' market integration, climate variety, technology adaptation, and other issues. Those were just the recap that made yesterday very thick enough. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Engineer Obasi. You kept an accurate timekeeper. We're going to have our chair for the next session, Professor Yemisi Jeff Abola, to come to this side of the room. Professor Yemisi Jeff Abola, are you here? You're the chair of this session. Thank you. So we are going straight into country experiences. And the first person we are inviting to share the country experience for Southern African National Food and Nutrition Program is Professor Tokosane Similane. Is he or she here? He's online, I guess. Can you invite him? Professor Tokosane Simelane. It should be online.
If I will be visible enough because of light, but it's an honor that you invite me. I hope I improve the quality of sound. Would like to humbly request that I switch off my camera because I'm sure it takes a lot of and we can switch it off.
Please do. Thank you.
I'm going to fix myself within sharing the screen. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, we can.
Very much. The experiences that I would like to share with you is an experience that comes from the national survey, which I led, which was commissioned by the government of South Africa with an intention to develop an understanding of the state of food security here in South Africa. I serve as a principal in survey, and now it's a survey that is actually guiding the planning for food security in South Africa. Listening to what has been shared with regards to the importance of cassava as a staple diet in most countries in the continent, I can say that cassava, of course, is contributors in enhancing or lowering the food insecurity in the African continent. With this survey, my slides visible, Program Director?
You're visible. Please go ahead, sir.
With this survey, we actually conducted it within the context of the fact that food security is a fundamental strategic imperative of the country of South Africa, as it is, of course, highlighted in many policy documents that govern the food program or food security program of the country. South Africa put forward the stance or the position that the right to have access to sufficient food by all citizens is actually enshrined in the constitution of the country. So the Republic of South Africa's cabinet approved the policy, national policy on food and nutrition security in 2013. Therefore, through this survey, it actually wanted or wished to investigate if probably all the policy documents of the country are improving the state of food security in the country. We then developed a method because it was a first study of its kind being conducted in the country since the country is transitioning to democracy. So the methodology that we developed intended to collect data or information from the households, and then we referred to that component as a household food security survey. We also then engaged with a variety of communities in terms of discussing the state of food insecurity in the country, and then we did that using the methodology that we frame as a household economic approach. And then we also wanted to determine the level of the nutrition in the country, but we used that through the method which we refer to as the nutrition survey. Here we were measuring children from the household, so it was a very intensive data collection method. We were guided by what they call the framework, the food security continuum, a framework which is here. It shows a lot of indications or gives some indications to the state of food security in the country based on the data and the indicators that we were monitoring. In actual fact, in this study, we had up to 100 indicators that we are monitoring. It's one of the that has since been conducted in the country. Our data, we collected data from households. You can see there we were numbering the household using the GPS. And then these households, when we were the maps that we have to go back and make reference. The study was widely publicized through the media as well as also the brochures that we had. And again, for collecting data, we had to develop the human capital. We recruited up to 450 employed graduates whom we trained intensively so that they can collect data accurately. But all in all, there is a very expensive cost or that are associated with such training and recruitment. But all in all, by doing this, the country is able to develop the human capital that it can use for other further surveys. So our objective was to provide a baseline assessment of food security and nutrition security at household level with respect to determining the food availability, the access to food, food utilization, and stabilization. We were also requested to analyze the link between food security and nutrition, thereby exploring reason for people's vulnerability to food insecurity. We then requested to make recommendations as to what could be targeted intervention measures to improve food security at a household level. Because the survey took place during the peak of COVID-19, we also requested for the impact of COVID-19 on food security. There were principal prescribed guidelines which are aligned to international, and also there were various policies like the, as I indicated, the National Policy on Food Security, as well as the plan, the National Food and Nutrition Security Plan, which the country has developed and is now being implemented. This plan is under review. The important thing that we're expected to deliver were the 10 reports. South Africa has got 9 provinces, so each like Nigeria, where I assume there are more than 33 states. This exercise would be extremely expensive, but it's worth conducting. So all in all, the report that we produced ended up having more than 1,000 pages. So just to give a glimpse of findings, our finding was that we had the highest ever participation of the people in this survey. We achieved a 96% participation rate, as it is shown by this this table. I'm not going to go deep into it because of time. And moreover, we heads of each and every household that we engaged involved in the survey. Household heads were had a secondary education and some with matrics and so on. But all in all, there were significant differences within the provinces with regards to the education levels of the household heads. Household heads were classified as people who buys food for their household by the high levels of unemployment rates, to an extent that there is a higher dependence on the grants that are provided by the country. So we find that the grant actually cushion the household from extreme hunger, and this differed across the provinces of the country. We also then, as I said, that there was a highest level of social dependence on social grants. Social grants are monies that are paid to elderly, to disabled people, to children up to the age of 18, as well as also to single mothers. So all those kind of benefits, we find that they are important in terms of assisting the household to hunger. And then a critical issue that we also find out, which is so sensitive for a country like South Africa, was the to land. Access to land is minimal among the indigenes of the country. As a result, we find that land is not being actually used mostly for production of food. However, in the provinces like the Western Cape, which is a Cape Town area where there is Cape Town, most of the land is being used for commercial purposes, producing wine, grapes, and so on and so forth. And then we also find out access to limited land. They have a problem in terms of access to the market. So access market is a big problem for household in the country.
Prof, please round up.
And then when we look at
Round up, please.
certainly they are indicating. Yeah, they are okay. Let me just go we made some recommendations with regards to what needs to be done, and those recommendations, in actual fact, included in terms of assisting the households to produce their own food. And what I can say is that in our recommendations, we realize that it is important to place them and provide and submit them to all the government structures so that they can be implemented and used as a guide for the food security. I will pause there, but thank you very much for the opportunities. It's highly appreciated from my side, and I wish all of you a successful day.
Thank you so much, Professor Tokosane Similane. Please, can we give him a better round of applause? First, we advise that you stay online in case we would want to have further interactions with you during the panel session. The next presentation.
Certainly.
Thank you. The next presentation is titled Cassava Residues as Feedstock for Sustainable Africa. The presentation will be made by Damiana Serafini. Please make your way to this side. And while she's coming, may I ask again, is Professor Yemisi Jeff Abola in the house? She is supposed to be chairing this session. Damiana Serafini, you have 10 minutes.
So we'll wait until the presentation is on the screen. Don't start counting yet. Aviation and cassava. The presentation on the screen will be easier for everyone to understand the link between the one and the other. Do I ask for them to pass the... No, can I pass my own slides and see them over here? In order to make them move. All right, I'll ask you to move them. All right, I'm going to start until we resolve the problem. So I am here in representation of a project that was brought up to Nigeria by the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority. The authority, of course, its aviation is a global market, and a decision that was taken by the civil authority. Thank you, sir. Do I pass it like that? Perfect. And how does this? Okay, thank you. No, we'll start from the very beginning. From the beginning? Yeah. So the Civil Aviation Authority has decided to find different measures to reduce emissions from aviation. And this is a global movement that it is taking place already in nations across the world, where airlines are reducing their emissions either because they are mandated and the penalty is higher than non-compliance, or because they voluntarily want to offer their passengers a less polluting industry. This is an industry that today it's only about 2%, can change that to about 8%. So it is immediate for them to change their practices in order to grow sustainably. Next slide, please. So I am going to talk about sustainable aviation fuels and the use of cassava. What is the sustainable part of it? We have on one side conventional aviation fuel. It takes carbon out of our ground, oceans, and it emits it back to the atmosphere. It's carbon. Then we have sustainable aviation fuels that also emits. There's no difference in the emissions, slight, but not major. But the difference is that it is made from the emissions from the aircraft. Next slide, please. We have the production pathways. And I know that I'm talking about something very different, so bear with me. We'll get to cassava because this should be of interest to all who are producing cassava, commercializing cassava, or improving upon cassava production. What are the pathways? Pathway is a combination between the feedstock and the conversion technology. And you can see that I circle those that are of interest to us: agricultural waste and residues. The word sustainable in aviation fuels means that it has to be certified for sustainability. The use of a food product for a fuel is not the best recommendation. Those nations that have plenty of food, maybe they don't have a problem. Those nations that are still struggling to achieve independence in food security, it's best left to be a food for a food, and the residues of agricultural production to be used as a fuel. So we have agricultural waste and residues that can be converted through alcohol to jet fuel. You produce an alcohol and then you process it to jet fuel, or Fischer-Tropsch, which is a technology that converts directly the syngas from that biomass into aviation fuel. Next slide, please. SAF has to be blended. You cannot put it in an aircraft as it is. You have to blend it with fossil fuel at 50%, the maximum. This still, one molecule of SAF accounts for about 80% emission reductions in comparison with one molecule of jet fuel. So you can see that the goal is there, it can be reached. But what's good about SAF, and this maybe is not of your interest, but it's of the aviation industries that are going to be your clients, you don't need new infrastructure. You don't need an aircraft. It is a fuel that can be, as blended, just dropped into an aircraft, as it is, using the same infrastructure that exists. Next slide, please. So the SAF value chain. We have a long value chain. And the thing that I want to make a note here is collaborative platforms, favorable ecosystems, and capacity building. Feedstock, you're the first one. Without you, there's nothing else after. So you are the one that will make it work. It is the cassava industry and other agricultural wastes and residues that will make this work. Next one, please. And the next one. Why is it needed? So here you can see that it has been identified, just as the NCAA has identified, as the easiest, most prominent, and fast measure to reduce emissions. The rest of the world has done it too. There's commitment. There's airlines that said, I am going to do this, and if I don't do it, I'll be held accountable. There's international government, that's ICAO, a UN agency. And you can see there in the graph, 61% of emission reductions can be achieved with SAF. That's why it's so important, so attractive to the industry. Next slide, please. Why would you produce it? Well, take a look at what the world is doing. This is a more expensive fuel. Should we use this immediately here? Maybe it's not for the use that we're the most interested, because it's more expensive. So can we burden the airlines in Nigeria and Africa to pay for more right now? Well, they will decide when the time is right and when they are decided to reduce their emissions, either because they have to or because they want to. But take a gap in production. So if we don't use it here, we can produce it here. And look at the market that you will have available, right? That is the gap that you have. US, EU, UK, and the rest of the world. By 2030, there is a supply gap of about 1/3 of the demand. Next slide, please. This is what I wanted to show you of what is happening. Maybe you have not heard about this, but take a look at the world. They are all moving towards this. There's refineries being built, there's airlines using it, there's countries and nations that have mandated the use of it, there's other countries that have subsidized it so that the airlines don't have to pay more for it. The different policies are making it work. Next slide, please. How does Cassava fit in all this? I gave you a hint already, and I have done this through the past 2 days, but here we go. Cassava processing generates large volumes, peels, and the starch that is left in the wastewater, right? I am not going to touch the starch that is produced for food, nor the root. I want the waste. And there's also the bagasse that is left at the farm, right? High value opportunity. All of a sudden, and I think that we can no longer call things waste because there's always a use for it, right? It's a waste for one, but it's actually a treasure for another one. But they are low value. What I want to let you know is that there could be a higher value for that product because the aviation industry is interested. I am here because I was hired by your future clients to understand what is the potential of Nigeria to provide the feedstock and the fuel. And I will transmit this through a feasibility study. This is the potential that I found with 16 million tons of cassava being produced a year. Now, I am calling for your help here because this is a study that needs to represent your country. I have, like many others have said, that the FAO stat tells me that Nigeria produces about 62 million tons of cassava root a year. Yesterday, I heard that that's not so. We heard somebody saying there's a gap here. How can we be producing so much and earning so little? At the same time, maybe there is clean production that doesn't happen. If I can get your help, I can represent your country. If I don't get assistance and collaboration from all of you and those who do have the statistics, I will have to represent whatever online data gives me. And what online data gives me today is that if I use 1/4 of the production of cassava root at 62 million tons a year in Nigeria, I can supply every single technology in terms of SAF production. I have a surplus. If I use pyrolysis, that's a pathway, waste, and the technology. I have 112 extra, so I can have more than one plant. If I use Fisher Tropsch, 88% extra. Alcohol to jet fuel, 68% surplus. You have plenty. I have done this study for Ghana and Zimbabwe. You guys are the gold mine. So let me go to the next slide. What is crucial here? I said before the word sustainability means something here, and it has to be proven. So there's a certification of sustainable practices. We have heard about sustainable production of cassava throughout the entire event. And I am looking to partner with those that actually communicate with the farmers in terms of sustainable agricultural practices. How can I understand whether or not the wastes that are being produced from cassava can be certified as sustainable? This is not just to say, this is a certification process with auditors. So when I can learn that the cassava industry is ready, I had to run up. The cassava industry is ready to certify as sustainable, I can say to the world, we have a great feedstock here in the full nation. Now, let's go to, I think, okay, let's go to next slide, 2, 3, 4. Go ahead, 4 slides, please. One more. There we go. I just want to express to you why Nigeria. Vast arable land, 16.4 at least million tons of waste. Strategic positioning, where you are, the amount of air traffic that you have, and the neighbors that you have. This is happening in many nations of Africa. They're all looking to partner to understand how this can be a regional approach. You have the climate alignment on your government decisions on how to reduce emissions from Nigeria itself. And the only thing that I need from you is, first of all, collaboration so that I can get the right data. So anybody here who is working on getting the right numbers on production, waste, the conversion factors. I know there's many academics here, so I'm speaking to you as well. Government entities, there's also a decision that needs to be made by the government saying, we want to be a hub for SAF production in the world. That means that policy has to exist, laws have to exist, and investment has to be attracted in some way. So everything that the government can do to de-risk investment, together with the assistance of the institutions, is what a SAF investor is looking for. They want to rely on consistent, sustainable feedstock that can make this possible. So if you can help me get the right data, and this includes absolutely everything that I'm going to do in the feasibility study, I will be able to represent the exact situation of Nigeria. So it's a call to action. In the afternoon, the Civil Aviation Authority will be presenting their own plan on how they are also bringing action to implementation. And you'll find a way to communicate with us so that you can actually support this study. Now you can go to the last slide, please, so that they can all have my email address. And please feel free to write to me. I am looking forward to getting in touch with you. Thank you.
Thank you. So please don't go away. Stay on this side with us. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are going right into the town hall. Remember that today is heavily packed, and we're working towards vacating this place on or before 1 o'clock so that we can go get ready for the glitteratives of the evening. So, the town hall workshop centers around advancing the cassava value chain for export, agriculture, and food security in Africa. I want to invite to this side the chair and the co-chair of today's this segment of the event today. And the first is Engineer Emmanuel Choir. Is he here? Please make your way to this side. Engineer Emmanuel Choir. A round of applause as he comes, please. Also to join him as a co-chair for this segment, Emeka Okeungu. A round of applause for him, please. The media crew, I need more microphones at this time, because I'm going to be inviting someone who will handle this segment with me. I'm also inviting for the town hall meeting Engineer Olalekon Omoniyi of ASO and Son. Please come to this side. A round of applause as he comes. We are also inviting to this side Mrs. Agnes K. Alote, the Manager Export Development of Afrexim Bank. A round of applause, please. And to handle the access to land for cassava cultivation, we are glad to invite again Professor Emmanuel Bobobi. Okay, sorry for the break in transmission. We have a few special guests to the town hall. The first is the DG of PAUSME. A round of applause for him. Dr. Henry Emejo. Also to come to this side is Professor Marie Claire. Is he here? Professor Marie Claire, is she here? Please make your way to this side as our special guest. Is the DG seated? Oh, okay, oh. They are ably sitting on the white seat. Madam, please join them there. Thank you. We are also announcing the presence of a special guest in the town hall, Mustafa Utman Bakano, President of Cassava Growers Association. A round of applause for them. Session will be handled by someone special, and that would be a moderator par excellence, Dr. Victoria Madedo, Structured and Project Finance Advisor, Bank of Industry. Please make your way to this place and a round of applause as she comes. Dr. Victoria O. Madedo. Please keep the clap coming until she makes her way to this place. Doctor, welcome. I'll be willing.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming for this session and this time. You may wonder, why town hall? Over the last 2 days, we've listened to people. We've listened to different speakers. Now, it is our time. It is our turn to ask these speakers, these delegates, these officials, exactly what is pressing in our hearts as regards to cassava. As a value chain player, that is why you are here this morning. That is why we are all here. We want to see value. We want to add value. We want to change the narrative as a people. We have distinguished guests here. We have paper presenters who have done deep research. We heard about the importance of using cassava flours to make biscuits from the researcher from University of Benue, and how they were able to improve the protein content. We also have heard from other presenters the impact and adoption of cassava in Anambra and Cross River. For the last 2 days, we've listened to policymakers. What are we going to be talking about today? Policies, value addition, standards, and investments. There are different things that makes this town hall unique because all these are interwoven together. 90% of the time, the standards we use are standards created by people who are not in Africa. This conference has 9 African countries fully represented today. And most of the standards and regulations that we adopt or that guides the principles of our production is usually from the Western countries, not even within our continent. But cassava, tuber, that is indigenous to our continent. So, in these few minutes, approximately, we will be spending 60 minutes. We would like you, delegates that have come from far and those even near, to ask detailed questions, questions that when we present the communique, it will strike the minds of innovators. It will encourage investors to come into the sector. And it will make financiers think more about investing in cassava tuber. We know that cassava has a multi-dimensional use from industrial to food base. So I would enjoin every one of us here seated this morning to please begin to wrap your thoughts together. Make it brief and tell us who you're directing your questions to. The ushers will pass a mic to the audience. Please, can we have the ushers pass the mic, please? While the mic is being passed, there are a few announcements that I would like to make. Thank you very much.
You didn't clap. That's more like it. Thank you. So I'm also inviting to this side of the table the representative of Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition Gain. For here, please make your way to this side of the room. Is he or she here? The representative of GAIN. We're also recognizing the representative of the Nigeria Senate, those who are working on the Nigerian bill on 10% mandatory inclusion of cassava in bread production. Is there anybody wearing that cap here, representing the Nigerian Senate? Also to inform you that the town hall has some special guests, and in no particular order I mentioned them. The Executive Secretary, National Agricultural Development Fund. If you're here, please take a bow so that we can acknowledge your presence. The Executive Director, Nigerian Export Promotion Council. If you're here, please take a bow. Ugandan Parliament, Her Excellency Dr. Anes A. Atim, Federal Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology. Are they represented here today? United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. Is any representative of UNIDO here? United World Congress of Diplomats. Are they here? The Etsu Nupe, or his representative, is he here? His Royal Highness, Dr. Uche Egente, is he here? Hakimi Kurudu, are you here? Please take a bow so that we can recognize your presence. Thank you. So I will hand over to my co-moderator, Dr. Victoria Madedo. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Like I earlier stated, we are looking at 6 thematic areas: finance, standardization, impacts, climatic impacts. We're looking at even the bill for 10% mandatory inclusion, how it has performed in Nigeria, what is really going on with cassava generally in the continent, what are our experiences. It will be good to share. At the same time, it's good to also query what is currently going on and to get responses from those who have experience either in policy formation or regulatory processes or standardization. Please, the mics, are they being passed around? Okay, so before we pass the mics around, we would like to each one of the panelists to kindly introduce themselves within a minute. Just your name and your designation. Thank you very much. I will start from my right-hand side, I believe. Yes.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Dorcas Kundam, the head of Department Food Science and Technology, University of Nkara. Thank you.
Please, can we give her a round of applause?
I am Dr. Pearl Amadi from National Root Crop Research Institute, Mudike. I am a research officer, agricultural extension.
Welcome.
Damiana Serafini from the European Aviation Safety Agency with support of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority.
I'm Engineer Emmanuel Kwaya, Director of Innovation and Adaptation of PAUSME.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dr. Ukengu. I'm the managing partner, Technologies Limited. Is an SPV with the federal government of Nigeria on cassava biotechnology value chain production systems. Thank you.
Okay, good morning. My name is Obierge Flenon. I'm from Benin Republic, and I'm representing Global Alliance for Improved Nutrition in Benin. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Engineer Olalekan Moni, Deputy Director and the head of Standard Development Coordination Division for Standard Organization of Nigeria, and also representing the African Regional Organization for Standardization. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Agnes Alote from the African Export-Import Bank, also known as Afrexim Bank. I'm a manager in the Export Development Advisory Department. Nice to meet you.
Good morning. My name is Professor Emmanuel Bububi from Ghana. I'm an agricultural engineer and a cassava mechanization enthusiast. Thank you.
So we can see that the town hall is really diverse, from regulators to the private sector, to the public sector, to researchers, and to financiers. Please, let us ask specific questions and direct it to specific people. We've heard their names, we've heard what they do, and that will guide us. Who is going to be our first taker? The mic, please. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 already. Okay, our first speaker. Please, can we give him a round of applause?
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. Haven't seen what we have lined up and the engagement. There is an observation of a missing link, which is the association of Cassava. With that association, if we look at the mandate of associations, is to identify different varieties from different, the association aggregate that. And after the varieties, we will get to know the volume that we harvest every year and where is it going to. And you cannot close a successful deal without having these data. I can union making reference of data. No off-taker can just meet you and take off what you have and close it and you think it's going to be sustainable. It can only be sustainable when you have an accurate data of what you have presently and when next are you having, then they can come in, withdraw from their commitment of the present data and plan against the next data. That is how you close deals to be sustainable. So I believe the president of the association is a missing link among others. They have fantastically shared their roles, but if you see the data collector is missing among there. So thank you very much. This is my contribution.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I'll allow the chairman, the DG, Pasmio, I hope I pronounced it well, to Dr. Henry to respond to that missing link. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alhaji Garba, thank you for that question. And I think when we came on board last year as the president of the association, what we first started doing is to do a proper data integration system. So we created a data management system across board where we first register the members and then know the land they have in terms of land mapping and of course integrate it into our system. Because what we saw that is missing from the ministry is you just wake up and then have political lists of farmers and then share every input and then it doesn't really get to the main farmers. So when we integrate all those data, we share with the government and then we share with the bankers so that we can be able to interlink. That's the first stage, to link the funding mechanism. Second stage, of course, is the production. Because when you're talking about analysis in recovering data, you can have that when you have data already of who are the farmers. So that's what we first did, to integrate all the data and then decentralize everything according to the system, the way it is. And then you get the government to fund those people, then you now start working on the output. Because immediately you have those registered numbers of members of what they are producing. And like I was saying yesterday, I just spoke with the Umudike guys. I said, look, you have to give certified data of analysis of wherever it is there is land in this country that are farming cassava, and what variety are you giving them? So that we'll know in each variety, what is it actually is obtainable. That's the first stage to even start this whole conversation, because I have a course to discuss this with the BOI some times back regarding a challenge that we have. One of the major challenges that we saw is farmers are funded to go and farm. They finish this farming of about 3,000 to 4,000 hectares. And then the off-taker is supposed to be the BOI, who is going to be the processor at that particular time. Meanwhile, BOA, being the agricultural funding mechanism, has already funded the farmers. And now there's a challenge and a link between those who are going to off-take. And that's how that cassava was rotted on the floor, and then nobody picked it up. So now the, what do you call it, NAEC, who is the insurance company involved, did not actually know what to do. Because they said there's funding in BOI, and there's a challenge in BOA. So how do you go about it? Now BOA is telling the farmers, bring back the money that we gave you. Meanwhile, there's an arrangement. That's why now policy discussion is very important. Yesterday I was highlighting on the issue of and integrate all the data. Because if you are not integrating data from the grassroots, then of course you don't have this analysis that you're looking for. Because without data, you cannot achieve any result. So for now, what we did was to do data integration management system. And we have all that sorted, and we've given that to the government. So it's left for them to utilize it properly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for that response. It has exposed us to see that it goes beyond just data. If you have data and it is not properly utilized, then it means nothing. So let us give another round of applause. Before we take a response from the representative from the UN, I would suggest, because of movement, to ease movement, the delegates at this part quickly. You would like to respond to that question?
Thank you. Yes, I think I have a challenge for the chairman. Mr. Chairman, on data and how to get data and the value of data, right? So we understand that it has to be precise, accurate. There has to be a source behind it. Just stating something without a source that justifies why that is, it's also not trustworthy. So traceability of the data is also. There's one thing that I would like to challenge everybody is access. Data is meaningless unless there is access to it. So when I look for data for Nigeria, I do not find data from your entity. I find data from foreign entities that are telling me what they want to say about Nigeria. And that's very dangerous. That is very dangerous. So aside from having the right data, exactly, is right data, it's a huge investment. It's a lot of work. But it is exactly what is going to de-risk investment. And you said it very well. And the sir that didn't pose a question, but gave us another lesson. So thank you. Said it very well. For my sake, as a researcher, I need data. But I need access. I need free access to data. I cannot afford to buy data when what I am doing is a study that represents a country. I am not selling anything. I am just studying. So we appreciate it. Maybe I'll speak for myself and all other researchers, probably. We appreciate your work very, very much. And free access, please. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Let's keep it brief and precise so that we can take more questions from the delegates.
Yeah. Raw Material Research and Development Council has the mandate to provide information on raw materials in Nigeria. We have a system that's called Raw Materials Information System. What we try to do with the Raw Material Information System is that we collect primary data in all the local governments of Nigeria, even at the market level. So one of the challenges we have is trying to put in place technology access and boots on the ground to be able to collect this market information on a weekly basis. To use their geo-positioning satellite and provide technology platforms that will be collecting real-time data in all, whereby the people that are going to collect these coordinates locked in. You cannot upload data if you are somewhere else. You have to be physically present in this location before you can be able to upload that data to that platform. So they've done a lot for some of, a lot of raw materials. The idea is when you go to the website, you see the map of Nigeria and any raw materials you want. You just click on it, it will take you to the right coordinate of where it exists, provide information about it, even quite a lot of work on that platform, and the platform, they are populating the data. Last year, they've done quite a lot to add more data to that platform. So yes, there are institutions that have the primary mandate to collect that data. The idea is once you have that data, you can be able to corroborate it. You can call somebody from your village, if you see the data from your village, and find out. That is how accurate we want that.
Correctly, sir. You said that if delegates here or people generally who are interested in getting accurate data about specific raw materials in Nigeria, they can go to the website of the Raw Material and Research Council of Nigeria. Am I correct? Okay, so if you have not taken anything home for the last 2 days, today you now know where to get accurate data from aside from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. Thank you very much. Can we give him a round of applause?
Thank you. I think that position is actually where, if you look at the interoperability of our data collection processes, this is where you start having the issues, facing you clearly. Unfortunately, the ministry, the Soil Materials Research and Development Council, is under the Ministry of Science and Technology. And then you have the Extension Services Department under the Ministry of Agriculture. And then you have NAUDA under the presidency. And then you have NAPDA, another agency that's also now trying to develop these structures under another agency of ministry. But most importantly, the subnationals are excluded. I believe I met the director in charge of agriculture and rural development of the Southeast Development Commission. If he's here, maybe he's able to corroborate what I'm saying. There is no link. There is no relationship between that commission and all these other people that I've listed. So my brother, you talked about the Cassava Association being the ones in charge of data. There are actually about 7 in that data, connect line. What they're supposed to do is to be able to bring data and information on their members. But also remember that a lot of these farmers who farm cassava also intercrop. So it is not about you getting the data on people who are farming cassava. We need, first and foremost, this is where I'm going to have data on agriculture. What we've done is to mount 86 million hectares of arable land. And then there's a cliche that now messes the whole thing up. They now say to you, less than 10% under commercial cultivation. Now, what this means is that the remaining 80% is some kind of subsistence, system that you can't actually now, on real time, monitor to be able to now get appropriate data. So the beginning point, moderator, is for us to take it back to these agencies and ask a question. Do you people have a common war room where you now share, your data amongst yourself that can now be made accessible to those who need them? Thank you very much. That will be my intro.
Thank you so much. Can we give him a round of applause? If I may, just quickly, throw this question to Prof. from the University of Kinshasa. I would like to ask, what is your country's experience when it comes to data gathering and integration? Because most of the responses are based on Nigeria's challenges or that is specific to Nigeria. It would be good to have, so we can have a learning from that country. Or if we're all in the same boat together, we begin to navigate it together and through the association, navigate it together and bring out a policy that can guide the entire continent. Prof, please. Can we give her the microphone? Thank you.
As it concerns la RDC,
interpreter, please. Can we give him a mic? You can take mine.
Yes. En ce qui concerne la RDC, le manioc, c'est même la priorité de développement.
The main development target for the people.
But we're talking about data in general, not only cassava.
En ce qui concerne la production, nous sommes passés à une vitesse. Aujourd'hui, au pays, on parle de 42 millions, 44 millions de tonnes de manioc par an. On a plus de 14 variétés.
So concerning the DRC, we moved to 4 million tons of productions.
Et le gouvernement a mis en place des mécanismes pour.
And the government has set up programs so that people can go above that one.
Et l'industrie concerne déjà, qui est en train de naître, il y a la production de l'amidon.
So some industries are still going up, like starch productions, they are still.
Okay, what I'm trying to find out, if you can help me interpret, is in the DRC, do they have data that is centralized? Okay. So, thank you very much. We just want to find out. Okay, so if there is, we want to know if you can, if you can share experience of how they're able to achieve the centralized data as a country.
Okay, DRC belongs to several action groups. From that groups, data are shared. So you can't even go to the internet and to get those data, these groups.
Okay, so the only way, that means we have the same problem, both in DRC and in Nigeria. The only way you can get data is through individual organizations or associations. So it is in bits and pieces. There is no centralized data point. Thank you so very much, Dr. Henry, to ensure that that allows us to have a centralized data. Can we give ourselves a round of applause? Okay, we will take another question before you speak. Can we have number 2? Yes, please.
Good morning, all. My name is Godswilly, okay? I'm a lawyer. Mine is an observation and perhaps a recommendation. Permit me if my observation is off point, because I just attended for the very first time today. I just observed from the panel of discussants that there's the absence of a very important constituency of farmers, those who farm with their heads. And I believe that all what we are dealing with right now, from what the first questionnaire said, was a matter of sustainability. Sustainability comes in when those who generate ideas to add values are protected. It would have been interesting if we had perhaps someone to talk about intellectual property development. And I would direct this question to Dr. from Khan University to say some of these ideas you have generated, the vision you have discovered, how are they protected? Because intellectual property is also very, very important. Those who generate ideas on how to add value to this, those who even innovated or created the particular conference itself, and ideas that were generated, innovations that will be made, how are they protected? And I would expect that subsequent meetings as this, we invite at least Ministry of Trade and Investment, particularly patent and copyright, to understand that ideas that are generated are bankable. And as a matter of fact, they are much, much more richer than the hardware that we focus on. Thank you.
You very much. Thank you for that question. And I'm sure that the organizers of this conference invited the Ministry of Trade and Investment. So the truth is, you can lead the horse to the river, you cannot force it to drink water. So as much as we would like a lot of participants to be here, but when they do not show up, it's no longer the burden on the organizers, but more on the lackadaisical nature of those that were invited and did not come to share their experience or to gain experience from conferences like this. Your question was directed to Prof from which university? From Umudike.
Yeah, thank you very much about this question about intellectual property patenting of innovations in Africa. In fact, I myself have a patent, an international patent on the cassava harvester. And also, I am the founding coordinator of Center of Excellence on Intellectual Property program at the master's level in the ECOWAS region, situated at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. As we are now in the fourth industrial revolution, or in the industrial era, patent and innovations, they are actually the ones that are going to drive our development. In addition to this AI and then these other technologies that are the patent filings. I think Nigeria is not in any of the regional bodies, Nigeria, South Africa, and some others, but we have two main regional bodies for intellectual property under the World Intellectual Property Organization in Africa. One is called ARIPO, which is for the Anglophone countries, African Regional Intellectual Property Organization, located in Zimbabwe, specifically in Harare. And then the other one is for the Francophone countries, headquarters in Cameroon, that is called OAPI. The acronym is in French, African Intellectual Property Organization in French. Now, these two bodies, I mean, they don't speak to each other very well. In fact, and then we have been lamenting that when you look at the world bodies, we have WHO, UNIDO, FAO. They all, I mean, constitute one body when it comes to the region of Africa, Anglophone zone, which is ARIPO. Now, this creates a lot of challenges for innovators and inventors. But the big picture is invention and then the uptake of inventions in Africa is not on the ascendancy like the way it is in the Western world. This question was posed to some of my students, and then the answer they gave is that Africa, we believe more in communal issues. We like to share with our neighbors. And for that matter, to monetize our innovations and inventions has not caught up with us. And in particular, when you look at the universities and then academia, these are supposed to be the centers for the generation of innovations and inventions in the continent. But then when you look at the career progression of academics, innovation and inventions are not given any serious weight at all. The old paradigm is publish or perish. And for that matter, researchers and scientists in our universities focus on publishing papers, which